So we're finally getting an official John Wick game, if you don't count John Wick Hex that is. I mean an actual proper John Wick game. But it's probably going to be a while before it's released. I mean, it doesn't even have an official name yet. And I'm sure lots of you out there are probably looking for something to scratch that itch while you wait. And so in very quick rapid fire fashion, here are some games you can play while you wait for the Untitled John Wick game. At number 1, we have Suit for Hire. This is the most John Wick game that isn't an official John Wick game. The game doesn't have a story mode. You just create your character, pick a location, and then clean house, clearing different areas as you go. The combat combines shooting and melee, which gives you a very satisfying John Wick gun fu fighting style. Just look at this hallway gameplay real quick. The game features both a top-down and third-person perspective gameplay. If you only pick one game from this list to play, make it this one. At number 2, we have Sifu. No guns, just straight belt-to-ass kung fu. Sifu features one of the best hand-to-hand combat mechanics in gaming. You've got parrying, dodging, countering, and very satisfying takedowns. And then there's the aging mechanic. Every time you die, you come back, but you come back older. So if you really suck at the game, you can go from young lads to grandpa very quickly. I still have unfinished business with this game because I reached the final boss when I was already 70-something years old. At number 3, we have Hitman Mode of Assassination. Need I say more? Now, unlike John Wick, who is well versed in gun fu, Agent 47 is a lot more calm and calculated. But don't forget that John Wick is also an assassin, so he probably used to move like this as well in his early days. Now, while Hitman lacks in the gun fu area, you can, however, choose how you want to approach an assassination. Use disguises to get close to your target, use poison, make it look like an accident, snipe them from afar, or just going guns blazing. The choice is yours. At number 4, we have 007 First Light. Coming in strong earlier this year and already a probable Game of the Year contender, 007 First Light is the latest James Bond game on the block. Created by IO Interactive, the same people that made the Hitman series, but it's not a Hitman game with a James Bond skin. 007 First Light features a more aggressive and cinematic approach. The game combines stealth, gadgets, gunplay, melee combat, and environmental interactions. While you are required to approach some missions with stealth, every now and then you get a license to kill, and that's where you get to feel a lot more like John Wick. So aside from Suit for Hire, if there's another game you should pick from this list, let it be this one. At number 5, we have Splinter Cell, Conviction, and Blacklist. You play as Sam Fisher once again, but this time as an absolute menace. The game retains its tactical gameplay, but with the violence cranked up to 11. Especially Splinter Cell Conviction, which makes it the most John Wick-esque game between the two, especially because of the newly added Mark and Execute mechanic. Meanwhile, Blacklist takes the Splinter Cell formula and expands it with more gadgets, weapons, and different ways to approach missions. At number 6, we have Max Payne 3, all the older titles, but I feel they might be a bit too old, so I didn't include them in this list, but you can still definitely check them out. Max Payne is the game franchise that popularized the bullet time mechanic, so of course the gunplay goes ridiculously hard, with some of the most unnecessarily cinematic gunfights you'll ever play. At number 7, we have Watch Dogs 1. This is basically if John Wick was about hackers instead of assassins. You play as Aiden Pierce, a hacker who can turn an entire city into his personal weapon. You can hack traffic lights, security cameras, bridges, phones, cars, etc. And the hacking can be quite useful during combat. You can use it to cause distractions and set traps. And while the combat isn't necessarily gun fu coded, the takedowns are still pretty satisfying. Ubisoft used to be cool, man. At number 8, we have Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, I don't think there's any way I can describe this game that's going to do it justice. The amount of freedom you have is actually absurd. The game focuses mostly on stealth, but again, you can choose to approach missions however you want. Again, I legitimately can't describe this game in any way that's going to do it justice. All I can say is cardboard box. If you know, you know. But anyways, regardless of if this is a John Wick type game or not, you should definitely give it a try. At number 9, we have Sleeping Dogs. Now, unless you've been living under a Dwayne Johnson, you've probably heard of this game before. The game had a lot of potential and is very underrated, although it feels more like a GTA clone due to the fact that it's an open world game. Where it really shines and where you get to feel like John Wick is when it comes to the combat. It has a very unique combat system. You can use guns, but the hand-to-hand combat and environmental takedowns are a lot more satisfying. And finally, at number 10, we have the Batman Arkham series. Need I say more? No, seriously, I think this one kind of speaks for itself. You can't tell me you haven't heard of the Batman Arkham games, but I will say this. Combat. The revolutionary free-flow combat lets you chain punches, counters, dodges, and gadgets together without breaking the flow of the fight, which can make for a very satisfying John Wick experience. Why am I even explaining this too much? Go play the entire Arkham series right now. Thank me later. Anyways, that's it. If there's any games you think I missed, drop them down below in the comments. But hopefully these games will be able to scratch that itch while we wait for the official John Wick game. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.